Already, we've reached week 7 of the NFL season. Last week was a really good week. Week 6 went 12-2 on the picks. And that's what I said when I did it. They were really a predictable week that we had ahead of us there. But I like my picks again this week. And why not strive for 14-0, which I think we can possibly get to. I really like my picks for this week. Weird week in the NFL. There's 2 new receivers on new teams. You have the Cowboys and the Chicago Bears on byes. So I'm excited to get into this one. Let's start in Thursday Night Football in a game that is, in my opinion, really tough to predict here. We have Denver versus the New Orleans Saints. I think this is a tough one. This is a kind of a go either way game for me. So maybe I would stay away from betting wise, but I'm going to take Denver. I just think New Orleans has kind of slipped, especially if they don't have Derek Carr. If Spencer Rattler has to play this game, it's just going to be tough for him to get the win. Thursday Night Football. That's why, for that reason, I'm going to take the Denver Broncos. I just think they're going to take this one. 20-17 is my final score on this one. And yeah, I just think that if you're going to have Spencer Rattler playing, it's going to be really tough for them to win. Next up, we are going to London. And once again, Jags will play in London. It's kind of like their second home at this point. And they will play the New England Patriots, who have looked really bad and in the power rankings are the worst team in the NFL, according to the NFL.com. And I think in this one that it could be close, but I'm going to give the nod to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They have looked bad, but they at least have a capable offense. Drake May didn't look too great with the Patriots. I'm going to take the Jags 24-14 in London. And like I said, though, this is one of those games where it could get competitive, but I think that the Jags will get this one 24-17. Let's go to the 1 o'clock window to the Browns and the Bengals, the battle in Ohio, in Cleveland. And you have the Browns who are they've been really bad. Traded Amari Cooper today in news that I expected was pretty much going to happen. They're tanking at this point. The Bengals still very much in this. Won a game against the Giants. Wasn't the prettiest game, but still a win is a win. And if they win here, they're only one game removed from 500. I think they do win. I think they win 31-17. Like I said, at this point, the Browns look to be tanking. So I'm going to take the Bengals 31-17. Next up, we have the Seattle Seahawks and the Atlanta Falcons. This is an interesting game, too. This is a game where you have a team in Seattle that's kind of reeling, and you have a team in Atlanta that's really moving their way up, starting to look really good. Drake London is starting to really emerge as a top-tier receiver. You have Kirk Cousins there, other pieces. I'm going to take Atlanta in this one, 24-17. I think they get the edge. They find a way to win this game. And for Seattle, if they lose again, I think, what is that, 4 straight? That's not going to be a good look for them, but I got Atlanta 24-17. Next, we go to the Tennessee Titans and the Buffalo Bills. The Bills now have added Amari Cooper. I think this, if he does play this week, I think this is a big addition. I think people underrate this addition. Amari Cooper, the previous 2 years, was a 2-time 1,000-yard receiver and just a really solid player, in my opinion. Somebody that is a great sideline catcher. I think this is a big addition for them. And this Tennessee team with Will Levis, it's just not that great. So give me Buffalo 24-14 in this one. Next up, we go to the Houston Texans and the Green Bay Packers. One of the premier games in this window, in my opinion. Green Bay and Houston both coming off good, solid wins. I think the Texans get them, and I think it's a really close one. I think they look a lot better with Joe Mixon. I think he's an X factor. I think he's kind of a game changer in these games. Like CJ Stroud looks significantly better when he has the run game going, and you put Mixon in there. Give me the Texans 30-27. I think they edge this one out. Green Bay is still a really good team, but I'm going to take the Texans in this one. Next up, we go to Miami versus Indiana, and Joe Flacco has looked good for the Colts. He's looked pretty solid. He puts up a lot of yards. I'm pretty sure they'll play him again. They should at this point. At this moment in time, he runs the offense better than Richardson does in this moment in time, at the very least. So, and Miami, obviously, you know what the issues are with Miami. Don't have Tua, have the limitations of that. So that's why at this point, I'm going to take Indiana 21-14. It's a close game. but I think Flacco outguns them. Next, we have another great game as well. The Minnesota Vikings, the undefeated Minnesota Vikings versus the Detroit Lions, who just smoked the Cowboys. Smoked. And I think this is going to be a close game, but I am going to take Minnesota 27-24. Big reason I'm going to take them. They're coming off a bye. And you could say theoretically that the Detroit Lions came off a bye because they obliterated the Cowboys last week. But I still think Minnesota game plan off a bye, have 2 weeks to prepare for this Detroit team. I think they get the win, but I think it's very close, and they improve to 6-0. Next, we have the Eagles and the Giants. Philadelphia gets a bad win, in my opinion, and the Giants lose to the Bengals. But Philadelphia, take them in this game because I have no other reason not to, and I'm going to take them 20-17. I think they find a way to get this win. I think that if they just run the ball correctly, if they don't make a whole lot of mistakes, they should be fine in this one. 20-17, Philadelphia Eagles. Next, we go to the Raiders and the Rams. And Cooper Kupp might play in this game. The Raiders obviously trade Devontae Adams, haven't had him for the past couple of weeks. So that really doesn't change my prediction at all. I just think that Sean McVay, good head coaches like that off a bye usually get the W. So I'm going to take them 30-21. I think they just get this one. I think that Sean McVay is off a bye. I think this is a time where he would win. Next, we go to Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders versus Andy Dalton and the Carolina Panthers. And the Panthers, I think, in my opinion, aren't as bad as we see them out to be. But at the same time, I still think that Washington gets this win pretty convincingly, 27-14. That's just my opinion with this. I think that Jaden Daniels is going to show out once again. I think he goes wild on this defense. If you have a decision whether to play him or not in fantasy, I think you play Jaden Daniels for certain. Little fantasy tip there. Next, we'll go to the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers Super Bowl rematch. And I think a lot of people are taking the 49ers on this side. I'm going to give me the Chiefs. And the reason I'm going to take the Chiefs in this game, and I know they've kind of teetered on the line of some of these games. It's been really close. The reason that I like the Chiefs in this game is because Andy Reid, he's coming off a bye. I just think that makes sense. I think that ends up working. I think that they just outget him, and I think it's 31-28, but I think it's a wild game. Next, we go over to Sunday Night Football. You have the Jets and the Steelers. Steelers made a huge announcement. Well, both these teams have huge news coming from them, and the news, obviously, is that on the Jets side, Devontae Adams is going to be a Jet, so he probably will play in this game. And I heard Russell Wilson most likely is going to start for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I think the Jets, they're coming off that loss. You're bringing in Devontae Adams. I think they get this win, but I think it is really close. I think it's 18-17 Jets, Sunday Night Football. I think they find a way to get the win. But I think it's, like I said, I think it's really close. I do see a world where the Steelers do win this game big. It's either that the Jets win it by a small margin or the Steelers win it big because they harass Aaron Rodgers. That defense, like TJ Watt against that O-line, they could eat in that, but I'm going to take the Jets for now. Then we go to Monday Night Football. There's two games in this window. You have the Baltimore Ravens versus Tampa. Tampa's been on fire. Baker debatably looks like an MVP. Those takes that I had that he looks kind of like a young Drew Brees are kind of coming more and more to fruition here. But give me Lamar Jackson. Give me Lamar Jackson, the Ravens, 28-21. I think they get this win. I think Lamar has just been playing out of his mind, and I think that the Baltimore Ravens will just outduel Baker them. And you got to remember, Lamar has only lost one game in his career in the regular season to the NFC. Well, yeah, in his career to the NFC. So, yeah, I'm taking the Ravens, 28-21. Then you have the Chargers versus the Arizona Cardinals. This is a game where Arizona's just been a weird team because they've played they beat the 49ers one week. They played the Bills really tight one week. And then they just they lose pretty badly to the Packers. I'm going to take the Chargers in this, but I would stay away from this game too. Monday night, I would stay away from it. But I think Harbaugh and the Chargers, J.K. Dobbins and company, I think they get it done 21-17. And yeah, I like these picks this week. I think there's a few that you could possibly stay away from that I mentioned. But yeah, I'll be back for week 8.